Hart, and I've got a couple of the guys here from the G4 Guitar Franchises, and we're going to talk guitar teaching, guitar business, all things to do with the business of guitar teaching. So let's get started. Michael, I'll just start with you. What topic would you like to talk about today?
I don't really have any pressing questions, but I think what I'm sort of focusing on at the moment is dealing with employees, hiring employees. So I've got, I had an interview on Monday with some teachers, and I'm sort of this week making a decision on bringing on board a teacher. So I think for me, I had a chat with another mentor yesterday who advised that I sort of get a legal contract in place, especially for the teacher and for the flyer distributor I also have. So I sort of reread the section on the legal area on the training site. Yeah, so I did. I mean, I know that you sort of mentioned that it's, unless you end up, even when you end up in court, it's not necessarily something that's going to hold up. But yeah, I guess just having it all nicely laid out in place is a good thing. So I'm sort of considering contacting a local lawyer and just getting something written up, just so it's all nice and tidy. So yeah, I don't know if you have any sort of further comments on that.
No, it sounds like a good idea to me. So there is a website that I came across where they have pre-done contracts, and they're done a lot cheaper sometimes than you'll pay if you go to a lawyer. A lawyer might charge you $1,000 to put together a contract, because part of it is risk, and if that contract has holes in it, and that causes you to be sued and lose a lot of money, then you can go back you can even sue that lawyer. You can go back and say, well, the contract, I asked for this, this, and this, and the contract didn't protect me, and then before I got sued thousands of dollars. But again, that sort of thing can be a bit of insurance policy. You can say, well, I'll spend the $1,000, I'll get a really solid contract, so then I never have any problems. So it is one of those things where I sort of take the stance on it that I will protect myself, insure myself, so I'm insured against being sued if that ever happens. But I also take steps to ensure that I play out the worst case scenario, and sometimes that's a good thing to do as well. What's the worst thing that's likely to happen to you with an employee? What are they going to sue you for? How far can they take it? And so just look at those scenarios, and then, because at the end of the day, it really does, contracts aren't that strong. It comes down to the two parties involved. We see this in divorce courts, where the husband and wife might have what they consider ironclad arguments, and then they get into court, and it can go either way, and in most cases nobody wins. The winners are the lawyers who charge the high rates. So I always, even though definitely do it, go and get some contract and get some advice from a lawyer. But the other thing is just to make sure that you're very careful and don't rely on the contract to protect you against anything.
Yeah. I guess the main thing is looking at the responsibility. So the employee knows what their responsibilities are. Like, so you sort of mentioned, medical insurance, tax, cancellation of the contract, and things like that. So, and there was, I can't remember who it was now, but I printed out a contract that one of the other, I think it was Aaron. Aaron had a contract there, so I printed that out as well, just as a bit of a template to sort of go from. I mean, if the cost is going to be excessive, obviously, when I get to the point where, the cash flow will support major contracts like that, and that kind of cost. But if it, I'll just sort of weigh it up. If it's just worth me spending the time and writing something out, that covers that, then I might just do that.
Well,
but yeah,
something that's worth considering is to get a quote, just to find out what they're going to charge for the kind of contract, and then let's try it across the network and say who would like to be involved in this contract, because I don't see any reason why when they do one it can't cover all G4.
Yeah.
Teachers, right? So if it costs $1,000, then I'm happy to throw in as well if we can sort of work out a contract that we could use across the network. that would be good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, just so you know, so this guy I'm talking to is he's built up basically he's about 45, 50. He built up a $1 billion business and sold it. So he's sort of got, and it was an accounting sort of business. So he's in mortgage broking, accounting, finance. So anyway, so he's recommended his accountant and his lawyer, who sort of work together. So I sort of I trust the advice that advice.
Definitely.
So yeah, these guys that he recommends, they've been around for a long time, and they so I'm sure that if I sort of mention to them that this is potentially for many locations, then they might be a good option.
Yeah, because what we want to try and do is if we can come up with one contract that we can just duplicate across the whole network. I don't know if they want a fee to sign off each contract or something like that, but what we're really looking for is for them to put it together as one thing that we can then duplicate across. So all the wording is pretty much the same, except you can change the location or who the person is with the contract. Yeah. So that's cool, and that's another good example of leveraging, leveraging the network to minimize the cost for everybody involved.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool. All right, so Jonathan, have you got any topics, questions that you want to chat about today?
Not specifically. I just thought, the Hangout's on, and I'll just come and hang out and see what the go is with chatting. So that's why I signed on today. So I guess the only thing I'm having trouble with at the moment is like I said on the Facebook page, just this one 15-year-old student at the moment, just trying to get her motivated. I have never had troubles with students before, even when I was doing my classroom days, trying to get people motivated. But this one is a tricky one. And I had a chat to her dad and whatnot, and he's even struggling, single parent and whatnot. So so that's probably the only struggle I've got at the moment, and just getting more signage and more exposure at the moment. So I've just doing a trial with a company who deals with all the newsletters for some schools in the area, electronic newsletters, Schoolzine, and just going to trial a 6 month to see if anything happens with a couple of schools. It's only like $300 I'm spending for the 6 months, so that's a three ads in a rotation on the newsletters. So I'm just going to trial that and see how it goes, and then let you guys know what the results are with that. So
That's great.
So
Are you,
at the moment.
What marketing are you doing? Let's just dive into the marketing for a minute. What are you actually doing?
Doing flyers. Yeah, I've just had to order another. I lost track of how many flyers I had left, so I had to order another 20,000 in. So so I haven't done any flyers this week. Because I've been waiting for my next shipment to get in.
That's cool.
And then I've got I've got AdWords happening. I can't remember off the top of my head how much I've got on the AdWords at the moment, but it's on there. And then I'm doing a little bit of Facebook as well. So, and then I'm signage as well at the shop front. So.
Okay, and so what kind of budget are you putting into your online marketing? So your AdWords and your Facebook.
Okay, let me just get onto AdWords.
Doesn't have to be exact if you've got a kind of rough number of what you're spending a month. Have you sort of thought about? Did you think about that before you jumped in? What budget you're going to spend?
No, I just put a daily thing in there, and I was just like, we'll just see how we go with a daily. I think from memory. Sorry, the internet's slow today.
That's okay. Well, don't worry. We don't need any. We can work with our numbers. So let's just say $10 a day or something like that. Okay. All right. So yeah. So if you what you really want to do is be very clear about what your budget is and where it's going,
Yeah.
and I often recommend that you don't do Facebook and AdWords at the same time while you're testing. What you want to do is you want to test one platform, so you can focus all your attention on that, and then once that you feel comfortable that's working, it's up and running, then just put it on automatic and let it run. And then move across to your Facebook campaign and set that one up. So, because you end up with too much information and you're not sure about what you want to be able to do is be able to quickly quote exactly how much you're spending on whatever platform you want to know. Because there's also the results side of it. You might be getting inquiries and you're not sure where they're coming from, whether they're Facebook or AdWords. You might have different ways of tracking the information in certain stages. But there's also those points where people are going to go through it. They're going to get to your website. They're going to see your phone number. They're going to ring you, and they're not going to. And you're going to say, "Where did you find us?" And they go, "Oh, I'm not really sure. Maybe Facebook. Maybe a flyer. I can't remember." So you don't know exactly. And if you know you don't have an AdWords campaign running, then you know if they've come online, it's probably Facebook, and then you can start to get a feel for what's happening. It's also the results. Is that if you put all your money into one of them, you're going to get results faster. So you're going to be able to see how quickly it's working. So you know, so you get to the end of the story quickly, rather than running two different campaigns for twice as long to get the results on them. So run one campaign, get the results, know what it's about. You can even put that on hold, but if it's paying for itself, definitely keep it running. And that's really the goal of any campaign. And
Just let it pay for itself.
Get it to the point where it's paying for itself up front. It's not always achievable, and it's not always necessary to achieve it. And what I mean by upfront is that we know a long-term student is very valuable. So if you spent $500 on an AdWords campaign and got one good student, it's still worth it. You're still winning. Okay, it's not what you want. You want a better return than that, but it's definitely still going to pay for itself if you pick up one good student out of it. Especially if you're the kind of teacher who can get referrals. If you're a good teacher who spreads the word, every student becomes very valuable. Every client that you look at, no matter what business you're in, you want to know what the value of a client is, so then you know what the investment is in. And that's why business people become the wealthiest people in the world, especially the good ones, is because they understand their ROI. They know what the average customer or client, student, whatever is worth, and then they know their investment. And it doesn't mean you don't care about your students as students. I'll make that point here. We're not just looking for the money. What we're looking for are the right kind of students, because it all actually goes together. The right kind of student will stick around. They'll end up paying more money and become more valuable to you. But that's because they're a good student and they're the right kind of student. You've targeted the right student, and therefore they've come to the right place. They're getting the right kind of tuition. So everybody wins. If everybody's not winning, then something's wrong. So something about Facebook, and I mentioned this in the Hangout, the last Hangout, but I'll go over it again now, is that because of our spend on Facebook, I now have a rep. Who I speak to. I've spoken to twice now, and we spoke for about an hour and a half on Monday morning, and she's fantastic. What she's done is taught me more in that 90 minutes than the seminars that I paid thousands of dollars for over days. Right? She just got straight to the point, because she's not trying to sell me anything. She's not trying to convince me of her value. What she's doing is, and also she's looking at my account, because she's in my account, she can see how I'm doing things, so she was able to really get in there and have a look at how things are working. So the value of her, see, the thing is that I've spent tens of thousands of dollars with Facebook, so I've spent a lot of money on Facebook. Some of it's mine, or most of it's, a lot of it's mine, some of it's your guys' money as well. So because I have the Done For You accounts, so about half the G4 members are sending me the money, which I then put into Facebook, which has been great, because it means now we've got this very fat Facebook marketing campaign going on. So they want to look after us. So that's why I have this personal rep. Now, so I'm going to pass the information down to you guys, and what I'm learning from it, so you can benefit from it as well. So a couple of things. Number one is that Facebook is much more powerful than most people realize, and AdWords is going that way as well, but AdWords is actually falling a little bit behind the pace. Facebook is much more aggressive in the way that they're going about things, much more innovative, whereas Google, they got billions of dollars, they got lots of other things going on. They're not overly worried about their situation, whereas Facebook are very much about trying to grow their brand and dominate, and Facebook ads is really a big thing for them. So what they've done is they've laid out these different ideas, which are all different tools. Remarketing, do you know what remarketing is, Jonathan?
I've heard a little bit about remarketing. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's when a cookie gets put on someone's computer and every time they're searching something similar, your ad will pop up. Is that sort of...
Yep, that's part of it, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So here's the strategy that works with Facebook, and I'll give you the exact steps that you need to follow. Step one is that you target your audience for a standard campaign, which is what you're probably running now.
Yeah.
So it could be a picture, it could be a video. And you can also have what they call carousel ads. That's where you have a series of photos or pictures that that scroll along, so they see it. I'm not sure even how long it lasts because I haven't actually seen the ads in action. I've only the ones I've made. I haven't seen them actually on the platform. But apparently the idea is to create a bit of a story. So it's like a picture story. So they've got these different kinds of ads, and the idea is that you target your kind of demographic, whoever they are. And obviously in your area, it's your location, and because you're a local business, you don't want to be too specific with your demographics because otherwise you will have nobody. If you're looking for females aged between 25 and 45 with children who go to a local cafe, who drive a certain kind of car, etc., you'll end up with 3 people that you're marketing to. So what you kind of wanting to do at that first level, on a local level, it's different on a global level because you've got millions and millions or billions of people you can market to. But in the case of a local level, you really just want to get within what you consider a reasonable distance for people to travel. That might be 10 miles because they work in miles on Facebook. So that's the target area, and you might sort of say, well, I'm going to split the campaigns into different areas. So I'll have one where I'm targeting parents and one where I'm targeting just general people. So your parent one would be having pictures of kids, sending them even to a web page that has information about young children learning, and so it's all sort of in line and congruent with what they're interested in. Then you have the other side where it's more general, and that's where they land on our kind of standard homepage, and they see a mixture of information, and it doesn't look like it's just for kids. It's more of a general thing. So you've got those 2 campaigns, and then you kind of bring those. You like I said, we plant cookies inside those people's browsers, whatever, so we know who they are, and then we can also get information such as if they fill in the form and you get their details, and you can also collect emails. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but anyone who inquires through your flyers, if you get their email address, then you can go to Facebook and add them to an audience. So what you're doing is you're creating audiences. So if you've got a list of inquiries, people who have come via other marketing sources, you've got their email address, then add that email list, import that email list into your audience. So then you have that audience, and you can make as many audiences as you want. They can be all sorts of types. They could be parents. They can be, adult learners. They could be late learners. They could be adults with toddlers, whatever. So you can create different audiences, but again, on a local level, you're probably spreading yourself too far out by doing too many different audiences. Start by having, maybe just 1 or 2 audiences and just work from there. So the audiences that you might have would be people who are inquiries that haven't actually enrolled yet, and then you could have one like past students, and you could even have a current audience. You probably don't have enough yet to do that because you really need about 200 people at least on a list to make it work, she said. And so, but if you had a current audience then what happens is that you can then send ads out to your current students that they can see, that just not to sell them on, hey, join G4 because they're already part of G4, but just to push more of the message that you're trying to push, which is, hey, G4 is great. These are the reasons, top 5 reasons people love G4. You know what I mean? That kind of thing, where you're kind of pushing the brand onto people who already are, on board. So the next stage of that is that you take these people who have inquired and you create what's called a lookalike list. Have you heard of lookalikes? Lookalike audiences? No. Okay. So this is where it gets very powerful, because instead of now targeting random people as you are, what happens with a lookalike audience is that Facebook very cleverly take the information you've got, but you need at least 200 people on a list for a lookalike to work, and the more the better. And so you've had thousands of people on your list, people who have inquired about guitar lessons. Then when they build their lookalike list, what they're doing is they're taking similar traits of those people. So in the case of me looking for, say, guitar teachers, I could put all you guys in who are members now on my list, plus anyone who's inquired. I could have different levels. I could put serious inquirers versus people not so serious, etc., people who have bought something, people who haven't bought something, and then I can create different kinds of lookalike lists. And then what they'll do is they'll go out and find people and advertise to people who look like you guys. In other words, they have similar interests musically. They might have a similar, they'll just look on your Facebook profile and also what kind of things you search for, and so they've got a profile of you. The scary part about all this is that they probably know more about you than you know about you. And so that's what they do, and they'll go out and find another Jonathan, another Michael, and then they'll put my ads up in front of them. And so can you see how powerful this is? How the fact that you're not wasting time advertising in front of people who aren't going to likely become students of yours, and you're putting your ads in front of people who are likely. And then what Facebook do is reward you by charging you less. Now, to take this one step further, put it on steroids, is that we now have data right across the network. So I have, and what I'm going to be doing is collecting the email addresses from all you guys and putting them into one big database. So then we can build lookalike lists from that data. So I can't you can give it to me because I'm G4, but I can't give you back all these email addresses from other people. So I can't give it to you, but what I am going to be doing is those people who I'm running the Done For You accounts for, I'm going to be using that data to build lookalike lists in their accounts. So that way I can take a list of thousands of people who've inquired with G4 Guitar and build a lookalike list within your area. Are you still following me on this? Because I know it can get confusing. Yeah.
Following, yeah. It's just crazy.
Crazy. So, and it's all about data. That's the thing. That's why Google and Facebook, these companies. What do you think? Why do you think? Well, here's a question. Why do you think Facebook bought Instagram? I'll ask Michael first. Michael, why do you think Facebook bought Instagram? What was the reason, the motivation for buying Instagram?
I guess because they realise what an important resource it is in collecting information or data about people, what they're posting and things like that.
Okay, so they could have built an app the same, even better. Let's face it, Facebook already have 2 billion people or something on there. The thing, they could have built a very similar app. They could have sent it out to all. They didn't have to buy Instagram. So you're kind of right, but looking for
maybe it's capturing a different audience.
Yeah, they would have had a lot of those people on their books anyway. But yeah, the kind of that's true. They're appealing to a slightly different audience and a slightly different angle. So yeah, you're definitely onto it. Anything else? What was it that where did they decide on coming up with the figure they did? Imagine you've created an app and Facebook come to you and go, hey, here's $1.2 billion or something. We'd like to buy your app from you. And you think, geez, for 50 grand you could pay your own developers to come up with something better. Why are you coming to us with $1 billion? And Google did the same with YouTube. They bought YouTube for over $1 billion off the guys who started that. eBay bought PayPal, I think it was. So what is it? What is it about? PayPal is a little bit different, but if we're looking at YouTube and we're looking at what is it that Facebook want with Instagram? What do they want? What do Google want with YouTube? What do they do with these platforms when they buy them? What's the reason for buying? What's the return on their investment? Jonathan, have you got any clues on it?
No idea. Would it just be like the people who are already using that service, they can just use all that data and linking another service in with their service?
Spot on. That's it. You got it in one. Yep.
Okay.
And Michael was kind of getting at that. So what you said, Michael, was absolutely correct. It's just that the reason they bought the value in these is quite simply the data. That's all they want. Right? But more than the data, they want the people who are subscribers. That's what they're after. They are after the subscribers they're after the eyeballs, because the eyeballs they can put ads up in front of and charge for them, and that's the bottom line. And so the reason Facebook bought Instagram is because they already had however many million people. So it was for $1 billion, they knew that they could sell probably $100 billion in advertising over the next 10 years. So that's where they saw their return on investment. They're not going to pay $1 billion for something that's not going to return them money. So they saw the potential in marketing. So my whole point here is that it's all about the data. Whoever has the most data wins. That's the game they're playing today.
So with data for G4, since we will have the most data out of any guitar teacher worldwide, that's Guitar Network, I should say. That'll ultimately put us on top, and people come to us first.
Yep, exactly. And it's already, and Michael and I were talking a little bit about this. We're talking about Bounce and examples of those kind of books. But I'm going to take a different example, which also came out of Bounce, but it was spoken about. Malcolm Gladwell spoke about it as well. And that's where if you take a child when they're young, if they show potential at a young age, what happens is that child gets more attention. So through getting more attention, they get more coaching, they get more investment from parents, teachers, whatever. And so they end up becoming better, not just because they are that much better. Sometimes they're just a little bit older, so a little bit more developed. And the example Malcolm Gladwell uses is that two kids in the same year at school, one is a year older than the other because one is born at the beginning of the year, so it makes them a year older. The other one's born at the end of the year. They're a year younger, but they're in the same year at school. But the older one seems smarter, seems more developed, and especially when you're talking about 5-year-olds, right? You put two 5-year-olds together, and one's 5 and one's 6. There's a big difference in their development. And so teachers who have got these 20 kids in a room or 30 kids and different ages, that they don't distinguish. It's hard for them to distinguish that this one's older than this one by possibly a year. So they just think that this kid's smarter and brighter and more with it, or a better sports player, or picking up guitar faster, whatever. So they give them more attention. They go, this kid's got extra ability. I remember at school doing IQ tests, and there we are all, and I'm in the same age group. My birthday, 30th of December, I'm at the very end of the year. I was the youngest kid in my year. I was always the youngest kid in my year, and so I never gave it any thought. I was just a kid. I didn't think twice about it. I just thought, here I am, and I was okay, but I was considered average, right? I was average intelligence, average ability in sports, or kind of average in the middle, but actually I was the youngest. So if that was taken into consideration, I was probably better than, but I didn't get the attention that the kids who were on the other end of the scale got, because it's seen as bright, did well on IQ tests, did well in different subjects. So what happens is that through standing out, being a little bit better than average, you then get more attention, and from that attention comes more training, more mentoring, more opportunities, which then accelerates as it goes along. So and sort of to bring it back to what we're talking about here in marketing, is that with Facebook, Facebook are now giving us attention. I'm also getting the same from AdWords, by the way. I just haven't replied to them yet because I'm more focused on Facebook. I've got a rep who's sends me an email every month. Hey, we want to help you with your accounts. So I'm getting that attention because of the spend. They see me as a valuable customer. Here's a guy who's going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars with us, possibly millions. They're not sure. They just know that I'm already a consistent, good advertiser. So that helps us to gather, as a network, we're gathering data, plus we're getting help and attention from the right people, which will now allow us to do these lookalike campaigns. This is something that a local guitar teacher is going to very struggle to do. They're not going to be able to have that data to do an effective lookalike campaign. They just won't have enough people on their list. So this is what I'm talking about leverage, and it's not just because of the internet. A lot of people think it's the age of the internet is causing this. The age of the internet is accelerating it, but it's always been the way in business. When you look back, people don't realize that in America there were hundreds of car companies originally. In the end, there only ended up being Ford and General Motors, Chrysler. They were really the only three car companies that ended. And that happens in every industry, and it's because of the leverage that happens. And the same is happening with guitar teachers. You've got most guitar teachers are struggling. Most of them are among the lowest income earners. And that's simply because they don't have the leverage. They can't compete. It's not just competing against other guitar teachers, it's also competing against other things, other attention-grabbing things, such as playing games or playing football or tennis or something else. There's lots of other things competing for the time of kids and students generally. So if you're not part of something that's really sending that message out, you're not getting the space. If we look at it in food, like restaurants, the reason McDonald's and KFC make the bulk of the money in the fast food industry is simply because they're the ones getting most of the attention. They're spending the most money. They're getting in people's faces. They're there. Meanwhile, the rest of them share. It's kind of the 80-20 rule at play. Who knows what the exact numbers are, but it's like your biggest players, your McDonald's, your KFC, get 80% of the fast food industry, and the rest of them share the other 20%. That's kind of how it is. And the same is happening in guitar tuition. 80% of guitar teachers will end up with, 20% of guitar teachers will end up with 80% of the students. And we can see that, and that's why in your marketing, being part of G4, and I'm selling G4 a little bit here, but the idea is that I'm selling to the converter. Yeah, I'm preaching to the choir here. But it's part of what and the lesson here for you guys is to remember that it's the same. What I'm doing with you here, it's the same that you want to do with your students. Is you want to keep reiterating the value of learning with you, and that's something that I learned from Jay Abraham. He's really big on this. He said that your clients, your customers, it's not their job to work out the value of your business. It's up to you to let them know the value of coming to you. So let's just jump in that for a second, because this is we're on a good thread here. As far as Jonathan coming to you, what is the advantage let me go to Michael first, because Michael's been doing it for longer. He's more experienced. So let me go to Michael. Why are you better, Michael, than another guitar teacher down the road? What makes you better? Not you personally. Sorry, not you personally. G4. What your school? Yeah. G4. What makes G4 better? Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the first thing I was going to say, is that I'm not just me. I'm part of a network, and so we use a system. We use a proven, structured system that has not only worked for years, but it is continually improving based on past and current results. We're continually developing our resources and improving them. And we, across the globe, I would say we have probably more collective students than any other, guitar school system. So that's probably the biggest one. Yeah.
Excellent. And if you add up the experience collectively across the network, we're talking a couple of 100 years. Yeah. There's a lot of experience in our ranks, and Yeah, so that's great. So Jonathan, have you got anything you want to throw in there?
I was pretty much going to say what Michael said.
Oops,
With the method that we do to teach with is what sets us apart. I was just going to emphasize the structure. So yeah.
Yeah. And so always remember everything you want to bring back to benefits for the student. So whenever you talk about what we do, and so we could say we're a network of teachers around the world. That's got to make some sense in terms of a benefit to the student. It sounds good, and sometimes it'll be enough, but the student's thinking, well, how does that help me?
Something like having this being part of the network, you can get support from people, students worldwide. So other G4 students can connect with others. Other guitarists at a similar level as you, learning and be able to get resources or learn from other students worldwide, that sort of thing. Is that something that we can? Yep.
I think so. To throw in something, and this is something we're working towards, I wouldn't say that we're necessarily there yet, but as an example, a lot of people go to MI, and one of the reasons I was inspired to want to go to Music Institute in Hollywood was because of the connections, not because of the what I would learn there. I knew it was a stepping stone to, and that's where a lot of guys got their career start from. And same with Berkeley in up in Boston. A lot of guys go there not because of what they're going to learn there. That's a good part of it. But main reason is that they're trying to get a job. And trying to get into the industry and trying to meet other people. Bands like Dream Theater, I think they formed the main core of their band around. I think a couple of them were friends before that, but then the other members came on board from Berkeley when they went there. There's and again through guys like Frank Gambale, Brett Gusseed. I'm not sure if you know these guys, but these are very successful Australian guitar players. Brett Gusseed, it was John Farnham's guitarist for a long time. And an awesome guitar player, I have to say as well. So it helps if you're a good guitar player. MI had guys like Steve Vai coming in there, Satriani, Paul Gilbert. I think Paul Gilbert did some study at MI, if I'm correct. So these are kind of hubs of where to get a start, and it doesn't just happen in music, it happens in other areas as well. I know many of the top comedians, your Adam Sandlers and Ben Stillers and all these kind of guys, they all came from one comedy club in I think it's in Hollywood actually, but this one comedy club where they all went and started. And there's also a music cafe where a lot of the bands out of the 70s came from. The Eagles and these kind of bands were all discovered in this one place. So what happens is you get these hubs where it's not just coincidence, it's where people are found, it's where things happen. And one of the things that I would really like to see for G4, and this is important, is that you become a hub for students to go to the next step. And so, in other words, it's not just you can see already we've got Michael Dolce, who's from The Voice, been involved in G4. He's done some stuff for us. He did I think for Michael, he did one for Yoakum as well, like a presentation, and brought the guys in from the Voice, the whole band. He in the master classes that Trevor is running in the US at the moment with Guthrie Govan. Do you know what I mean? These kind of things are bringing in, and this is helping us. But as a network, you're getting part of that. You get to be part of that, and then your students are also kind of connected to that. So what we're wanting to do is create the whole chain of coming into G4, learning how to play, and then if you want an opportunity to meet other players and have a career, and that's how I had a career, because my teacher was well connected to the music industry. He and my stepfather was also, but my teacher especially had connections to touring bands. He was the touring guitarist for Tom Jones when he'd come to Australia. So he would meet other international musicians, and he got that gig because his teacher was a guy named Ike Isaacs. I'm sort of building out the story here, but his teacher, Ike Isaacs, was a top BBC, you can look him up, BBC session guitarist, which was the top job in the UK back in the 60s, 50s and 60s, to be a session guitarist. This is before TV, really. When they used to play live music on radio, it wasn't so much recorded. So he was the guitarist there. They'd bring in guests and they'd sing, and he would be the guitar player. So he had connections in the UK, and so when he came to Australia, Ike Isaacs, he retired in Australia, I think in his 70s, and my teacher learnt from him, and so he had connections not just Australia but internationally. So this is part of it, and if you can build out the story a little bit for students who are thinking that way about the fact, well, it's not just about learning guitar, it's about making connections in an industry, and that applies to anything that you do. They talk about Hollywood, not the 6 degrees of separation, but something like 3 degrees of separation. Everyone in Hollywood seems to know somebody. Like Naomi Watts was friends with, who was she friends with? I think Mel Gibson. I can't remember. Don't quote me, but I know that she got her start in Hollywood through one of the Australian actors that she was friends with, who she studied with, years ago in Sydney. So you've got these connections. What help to actually keep students in the game, keep their career moving. So my whole kind of point here that I'm getting to is that with students, we want them to understand that being part of something bigger, like G4, is going to offer them a lot more opportunities long term than being, just having one teacher down the road who really isn't connected to anybody. So, and it's the same with teachers. You guys coming into the network, being connected to the other teachers, it creates opportunities for you to do more things. And look, I can go into, just as a good quick example, Michael started with me as an employee. He started his own location, G4 location, became a franchisee in Penrith in Sydney. And if you want to sell your guitar school, it's very hard. I can tell you now, it's difficult for an individual one-off guitar teacher to sell their guitar school. But Michael came to me and said, what can we do to sell the school? And I said, well, let's do this, let's do that. And we had a chat about it and tried things. And full credit to Michael, he took action. He did the things that we spoke about. He just didn't sit there and he was close to thinking, am I going to have to walk away from this? Because I've got a fiance and we're moving to Adelaide and it's got to happen. I don't really have, I'm not going to stop my goals just because I can't sell my location. But here you've got a great location. It'd be a shame to just walk away from it and let it die. And that's what a lot of people do. That's what a lot of music school, guitar teachers do. They walk away and their business just collapses into nothing. Michael was able to sell his business to Yoakum from Paddington. So Yoakum now has 2 locations in Sydney, and that was great for Yoakum as well because now he's got a school already going and established. In fact, more established than his own school. And so it was an easy walk up for him, and it was great for Michael. And that's the power of the network. And that's happened twice now because Alex in Sydney, who owns Manly, recently bought Strathfield from Daniel because Daniel wanted to take a break. He's taking a bit of a trip. So each G4 school, and this is what my whole plan is, that I want your school to be valuable, to be more valuable. And the value, as I think, would you agree, Michael, that the value was the fact that you were G4, was it what allowed you to sell it?
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely. Every step of the way, I can't think of one aspect where being part of G4 hasn't helped me. Like, I mean, if it wasn't for G4, I probably wouldn't be in business to start with. So, it's the fact that there's a system there and there's an approach and there's a support. Like, I don't know how many other guitar teachers, private guitar teachers, get online once a week and chat to other business owners every week and talk about their problems. I don't think that happens. So.
No, it's pretty rare. Yeah. Excellent, excellent. So these are the things that I'm making sure you guys are aware of, and you're only, and I can say even the best of you are only tapping into a small percentage of what the potential of the network is. You're still only tapping in that very small percent, and so, and it's not that it's like a computer. I don't need to use every feature on a computer to make it valuable, and it's the same with the network. You don't need every feature. And this is again what you wanted with your students. Your students, how many of them use the member site? How many of them, get involved in the groups? How many of them will participate in your workshops? How many of them actually connect with other students in the group on the weekends to try and to have weekend jams and improve their? They're not taking full advantage as well. And one of the points that Jay Abraham makes is that the more you can help facilitate those connections within your your business, connecting your students in different ways through workshops and so forth, the more loyal they will become. And that's why the best G4 teachers, no offense to the guys who aren't here, but the best G4 teachers are the ones who are participating in the Hangouts and who are, you guys are going to be the most loyal and you're going to get the most out of it. And it's not necessarily that you came to the game with more skills. Often it's less skills and stuff, and that idea of, well, I don't know what I'm doing, I need a lot of help, that gets you here in the first place. But it's that interaction that builds the strength and loyalty within your community. So amongst your guitar students, the more you can get them involved into your world, then the more loyal they're going to be, and the better they're going to do. That's what my teacher did for me. To me, when I started learning with my teacher, at first it was just the half-hour lesson each week, but then it became where he was having these weekend jams, and then he was having the rock school program, and next thing I knew, the guys who I'd met through the school, we were on the phone each day and sort of saying, okay, when are we going to jam? I'm hanging for a jam, and we were jamming, sometimes every night, or we were just going and hanging out in, at someone's house, or we even had one of the guys. He was the drummer. He ended up renting a kind of warehouse where we could jam, and that was our life. That was what we did during those teenage years. It was just all about hanging out and jamming. We wasted a lot of time, but it was good fun. A lot of bad jams as well. So yeah, does that all make sense? Everybody got that? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so Monty's just jumped in here. Did you have a question or a topic, Monty, that you wanted to go over today?
Yeah, is there any way you could back up these Hangouts maybe an hour? Since we just had daylight savings time, and now 7 o'clock.
Oh, what time is it? What time is it?
7 to 8. It's 5 to 8 right now.
Oh, okay. So it's too early for you, or
a little bit. I mean, I don't know if it would be good for everyone else.
Yeah, there's another Hangout today as well, which is probably your tomorrow.
It's going to be like a 5 in the morning.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. No worries. So, what would we be talking? So you're talking sort of starting around this time. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Would that affect you guys? It doesn't affect me. I don't mind either way. But would that affect you guys?
Michael.
Not in a major way. No, I just have to shuffle things a little bit, but it wouldn't. I'd still be able to make it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's put it up, and we'll give it a go and see, because it was just shifted really for the daylight saving time here in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll try for doing an hour later, and see how we go.
Yeah, if you want to post the guys, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think the only other person here I think who would be affected is Joachim, because he's usually here, but I think he's fine with it.
Adam comes sometimes.
Yeah, Adam comes occasionally, but I think it probably later is obviously going to be better for him as well, because he's teaching. Maybe that's why he's not here today, because he's teaching right now.
Yep.
So yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, I think it would suit him better. I know Chris as well wants to be here. So I think it's affecting him as well. So yeah, all right, cool. So any other topics? We've got that solved, Monty.
I got my flyers.
Excellent.
My door hangers. Yes. They're
Are
really
you
small,
doing any...
but it was a good deal.
Okay, cool. Can I just ask quick? Are you doing any Facebook marketing? I can't remember.
With you, yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. Yes.
And I got my first Facebook student scheduled.
Yeah.
Excellent. I think he's
Excellent.
coming tomorrow.
Let me see.
He's coming next week, but yeah, I got a Facebook.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I knew you. I was pretty sure you. I've got about half the guys are doing it now, so it's at that point where I'm losing track of who's on the system and who's not.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, I'm watching it though. I haven't forgotten.
That's good.
So,
yep, let's update.
How many inquiries you've had? Is it just the one inquiry and they've enrolled, or have you had?
Yeah, just the one so far. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Okay, and good. So you've got them signed in. The good thing is, and as I was explaining to the other guys, you might want to look back at this recording. So I won't sort of go right into it because you can go back and see what I was talking about. But just the remarketing is that we're gathering data on your students. The people who are inquiring and responding to your Facebook ads. So we're going to be able to build a good profile, which will allow us to improve your marketing. The Facebook marketing will improve over time. So yeah, have a look at the recording, and that'll sort of bring you up to date on that.
Okay.
Just on that, David, just quickly, would it be because you're building this pool, and at the moment I'm taking care of my Facebook marketing and whatnot. Would it be a good idea just for the network in general, just to hand that over to you, so you've got all that data right there? I'm just trying to be more effective for me in the long run. I don't know.
Initially I was thinking, along the lines of, if everybody's doing a bit of Facebook marketing, they're learning, and then we can sort of share the ideas. But I think really the smartest way to do it is for I take 20%. I'm upfront about that. So if you give me $100, I take 20 of that. And the idea is, and most of that's just used for time and management anyway. But the idea is that by bringing the data together and me focusing on learning it and understanding it, it saves you guys time. You can focus on other things. But it's the gathering of the data that's really swayed me of late. Having all this data together and pooling it is really going to give us much. Whereas if you've all got your own data and it's not being used collectively, then you're missing out.
Yeah. So when viewing the data on Facebook, what sort of things should we be looking at so we can sort of track it? So if we're on our Facebook campaign page, what's a good thing to look at?
Okay, so if you're using a Facebook ad, you're doing Facebook ads. The first thing you want to do is go to Power Editor. I don't know if you're aware of Power Editor, but you use Power Editor. You have to use it on Chrome.
That's probably why I haven't seen it, because I've just got Safari. So
So you have to use it on Chrome, because it's, for some reason they've geared it up for Chrome. And then what we're doing, it's kind of like that whole process that I was talking about, is that initially you're trying to just keep it fairly broad. So you're getting people, and it's really about your ads appealing to the right people. You want the right people clicking on your ads, and because it's not so much that you're trying to get a sale and an inquiry there and then, and even though what Monty has, he's got a result, that's great, that's exciting. But what's more important is that we're planting these cookies in these people who are clicking on our ads. And so when someone clicks on the ad, knowing that they're going to end up on our remarketing list, then what we want to do is make sure that the right people are clicking the ads in the first place. Because most good customers, and you think about yourselves, most good customers, you didn't just see my first ad, click on it, and decide to sign up to G4. You probably clicked on my ad, had a bit of a look at it, probably got the free download, probably sort of learned a little bit more about things, maybe watched a few videos. It probably took you a little while before you you joined. And so it's the same with most people, especially where there's a commitment involved, and guitar lessons are a commitment. So your first ad that people are clicking on, what you're just trying to do is you're just trying to bait the right people. You're just trying to find where they are, get them into a certain area, and then it's like you see these guys, these marketing guys who sort of gather people, bring them in a room, and then they give their pitch. And the idea is that first of all they want to find the right people. They offer them something free, like turn up to our free talk on how to trade shares, right? And so you go, wow, okay, cool, that's free. I'll go and learn a bit about shares. I've never done it before. I want to find out. So you go along, and they give you some good information. That's usually their strategy. They want you to walk out of there, even if you don't buy anything. They want you to walk out of there feeling good, and that was valuable, because they know even if you walk out of there, if you walk out of there feeling like it was just a big sales pitch, and all they were trying to do was get your money, then you don't want anything to do with them again. In fact, you feel a bit annoyed because you've been, misled into a situation. So even if you don't buy, they still want you to leave feeling that your time was well spent. Because the second time that time, some people will buy. Usually in those situations, from my experience, and I've been to a few of those, about 15%, 10 to 15% will buy, and the rest won't. And of the rest, there'll be a few cynics who'll go, this is just a big sales pitch scam, blah, blah, blah. But if they've done it right, the majority of the people go, that was good. I enjoyed that. It was interesting. It's not something I'm ready to fork out for yet, but it's good food for thought. So those people go home, and then they get another email from that same company saying, hope you enjoyed, etc., etc. And so they give them some more information, and say, is there any feedback? Do you want to give it? We've got a survey, etc. All these kind of things that they do, and then they invite them to another situation, or they send them an offer online. We know that you didn't want the $5,000 package at our presentation, but hey, we've got this $1,500 package, which will allow you, it's more of a teach yourself kind of idea, blah, blah, blah. So these are the strategies they use, right? And some of them are very sophisticated strategies. But the whole premise to it is that people need time to decide whether or not your product is for them. And through your marketing and through your ads, what you're trying to do is get the people who are potentially going to be the right kind of people. So if you, I don't want to kind of pick on any subgroups here, but if you know that people who wear green hats don't make good students, right? And so what you can do is you can have it so that your ads don't appear in front of people with green hats. Or if you know that people who hate green hats make great students, then make sure your guy in your picture doesn't have a green hat on. So this being completely ridiculous and stupid, it gives you the idea that your ads need to appeal to the right people. So that's why we put kids in the ads, because the best students for us are going to be kids. Our program is well designed for children. We've got everything for parents. We're a lot better set up for parents. A lot of older students are not that keen on structure. A lot of older students, I'm not saying that there aren't, but a lot of older students, and I find with a lot of you guys, the problems that you have tend to be with those older students who just want to learn some songs. They want to go back to memory lane and learn their Beatles favourites, and they're not really interested in knowing what scales are or any theory or learning to read. They have no interest in it. But whereas kids, we're educating them, giving them skills that they want, and their parents want them to have those skills as well, because it helps them to join the school band. It helps them generally, to become musicians, and gives them a lot more opportunities as they grow. So that's where having the ads that I do and the ads I test, and I'm now testing carousel ads and getting good results. And I've just done a remarketing campaign for my own and got tremendous return. Just to give you an idea, I think I spent about $30-something, and what I did is I sent it out to people who hadn't bought anything from G4. These are guitar teachers who are on my list, and I went and did a remarketing campaign, and so purely from Facebook, and like I said, it cost me $30-something in ads, and I sold a $37 kind of package where they get a sample of the G4 training, the teacher training, and they can go and have a look at it and see what it's all about for a very short period of time. Now, $37, and I sold 20 of them now. So for about $30 in marketing, I've sold close to $800, $750, let's say, in product to my remarketing list. So that's what you can do with your lists, is that you will have this list of people who haven't purchased from you, and you can go back to them and offer them a $5 guitar lesson. Say for $5, you can come down anytime within the next 7 days and have a guitar lesson. Here it is, $5. It's a 48, and these are the kind of things I do, by the way. It's like a 48-hour sale. You got to do it within 48 hours. If you don't buy in 48 hours, you miss out on this opportunity. And so people go, oh yeah, wow, that $5 for a lesson, that's great. The last thing I got was 99. So something's going on here. Let me have a look. I better decide. We got, honey, do we do this or what? And it's like, bang, they spend the $5. For $5, they bought something, they value it, you've got a student, and away you go. And these are your remarketing. You're just sending these campaigns out to people who have already looked at your ads. They already know who you are, so they're likely to respond to it. And it will cost you maybe, on your level, $10 in Facebook ads to do that. And that's what we're working towards, and that's what I'm working towards for all the guys who I'm doing the Done For You campaigns for, is that I want to bring all those things together under the one kind of umbrella, so that we're getting the same results and saving you time, because there's a lot of time involved in this. I'll have to say, I've got to spend several hours every day on Facebook now to really be tweaking these campaigns, making the ads, testing, trying different things, learning and staying up to speed with it. It's a full-time job, really. So that's where what you will achieve on your level, and this is why I understand it, you just won't have enough time. It'll just take you too long to learn Facebook, and it takes a long time to get results as well for you, because you're not getting enough data back. So it takes a long time to get to a point where you can build a remarketing list and then go on and build a lookalike campaign and so forth. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to leverage and consolidate. And it's not that I'm going to do the job forever, by the way. I do enjoy doing it at the moment. It's a lot of fun. But obviously, as an entrepreneur, I'm looking to build the role, and then I'll be handing it over. But not until I know it. It's the same with the teaching. Your group teaching at the moment, you guys should have a plan not to be doing the teaching at some point. It's not that you don't want to teach us. You'll always be able to teach. You'll just teach someone else. You'll teach a teacher. Then you'll teach staff to do different things. And that's being an entrepreneur. That's the difference between an entrepreneur and a technician, as explained in the E-Myth. So if you're going to be the teacher, which most people are, it's very hard for you to be the entrepreneur. You're building the business now. You're building these roles. Okay. Yeah. So that's so just to finish off that, Jonathan, within your campaign, what you're looking for, you're looking at your cost per click, per website click. She advised me not to do conversion campaigns at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, so to focus on, and I did test conversions. She just said to focus on the website clicks at first, because what you're trying to do is that strategy I'm talking about is gathering people and getting cookies. And then what you're trying to do is, as you gather, you want to get your click-through rate up as high as you can. Yeah, you want it at least over 1%. Anything below 1% is way too low. 1% is your absolute minimum.
1%.
Yeah, for click-through rate. Yeah, and you want to let things like your Facebook ads decide for you. Don't choose the option to just go for the best clicks. So you'll see it's got two options for clicks. And what website clicks, it'll be one where you can choose the amount you'll pay per click. So you might say I won't pay more than $1 per click, or you can choose to let Facebook decide. Let Facebook do the deciding for you.
Okay.
So they're the main things right now. And if you want to sort of learn more about it, you can go and have a look at audiences, building audiences, and sort of taking it from there. Alrighty. So,
can I ask one more quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so just regarding bringing on a teacher, they obviously have access to the website as a teacher. is there any sort of Facebook group that they're a part of now? Because I remember there was originally, like way back, but I don't know if there still is any sort of group just for teachers, or at what point do they, sort of have access to this?
Yeah, we took them out of our group, mostly because there was a bit of confusion going on. But I think, and we don't have a group, I think it's a good idea. If we wanted to create a group like that, do you want me to put something together that we can use?
Well, the reason I ask is I actually had one of the applicants ask me, because I mentioned that we're part of a large network of teachers, and I said we've got a Facebook group that we, blah, 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 and I said that's pretty much just for the franchisees though. And he goes, he asked, so is there anything for, even just as teachers that we can sort of be part of?
I think it's a great idea, and it's something that we could easily invite applicants into as well. So because it's just going to talk about teaching, we're not going to talk about business in that group or behind the scenes franchise stuff. And so it could be a place where even our current members, if you've got a question about teaching specifically, it could be posted in that group rather than our franchise group. So it's separated too.
As a business group or franchise group, that's good.
I like it. I like that idea. And that way, it also makes it easy to go back. If you've got a new guy come on board, they can scroll through old, conversations and learn from the conversations. With all the different things that we've chatted about. I think you can even. Sorry, was that?
That's good. That's good. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I think also you can download all the past Facebook. The whole conversation, so like the whole thing, you can download it onto a file. So I'll try and work out how to do it. I did do it once before, but I can't remember how to do it. Okay, well I'll do that. I'll create I'll separate the franchise from the teaching, and then we'll invite the teachers into anyone and everyone. And because what we want to do is get all the current franchisees in there to start with as teachers, but not asking questions about the business, asking questions about teaching specifically. So.
Yeah. So would it be a good idea so the applicants that I've already had, to invite them to the group so they can kind of see, or wait until they've actually sort of been hired? Is that?
No, they invite them in. I don't see any problem. I don't know if maybe I'm not saying something, but I think that they're welcome to come into it. And I think with every teacher, no matter who applies, never say never. Always sort of say, if it's someone, you don't have to invite them straight up. So if it's someone you think definitely I want this person in the group, or to be, just don't make them aware of the group. Just invite them once you feel that they're at least someone that you might hire at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, just say it, because I know you've got some good applicants, and you can only hire one at the moment, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And so the other ones who are good applicants, you want to say, look, it's not that you weren't good enough, it's just that I've got to choose someone. I've ended up with 5 guys who are all really good, and I just had to pick one. And but something, as we grow and develop, and that's what I said to one of the teachers who contacted me yesterday, that's what's, G4's growing, and we've got 4 guys operating in Adelaide alone, and there might not be a job for you right now, but if you stick around, you're keen, and you keep learning, something will eventually come up for you.
Yeah.
All right, good. Done. All right, I'll create that extra group and G4 teaching group. Anything else? Any last comments before we head off and make our millions? All right, done. Thanks, guys.
All good.
See you next time. It'll be an hour difference.
Thank you.
An hour later next week. No worries, Monty. It's all good by me.
All right. All right. Sounds good.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.